In this episode, we look at Mars and its effect as it moves into Libra. Mars enters Libra on Wednesday, the 6th of August. And it's pretty much the main player this week in terms of all of the aspects. While this week does include a full moon in Aquarius and the well-spoken about 8-8 Lion's Gate, those things are not on this episode. They will feature in their own episode later in the week. For now, you are listening to the Horoscope Vault Week Ahead episode. This podcast is dedicated to exploring your world through the lens of astrology, with a view to supporting you through the ups and downs, of which there are many. And this show is really positioned here to give you alternative, new and different perspectives of ancient, old information made modern for the benefit of you making your most confident decisions yet. I'm Charlie, an associate member of the American Federation of Astrologers and the astrology reader for radio's Hall of Fame, The Bob and Sherry Show. Listen on for some serious Mars in Libra horoscope insights, looking at why this week and that ingress hits the hardest and what it could mean for your experience. So this is the episode that will focus on the ingress of Mars into Libra and then how that really plays into the aspects this week. There will be a separate horoscope episode tomorrow, Wednesday, the 6th of August, the day that this ingress happens. There'll also be a separate episode on the 8-8 Lion's Gate and the Aquarius full moon. And those episodes will be around Thursday. For now, we are looking at Mars finishing up in Virgo. And Mars is an action planet. It's bold, it's acceleration, it's activation, and sometimes it's even inflammation. Mars is all about your executive function, your impulses, your anger. It points to battles and conflict, even accidents and sometimes violence. It's this intense energy, making it the planet of competition, conquest, and even cutting things. So it's sharp tools, it's surgery, it's sports, and it's just overall this need to win kind of energy. And as it finishes in Virgo, where it's been since June 17th, with Virgo's symbolism of organization and service, Virgo is analysis and math and writing. It's data, it's gift. The Virgo gift is to categorize. And in medical astrology, Virgo relates to the abdomen, the intestines, the digestive system, the pancreas, the spleen, and the nervous system. So as it finishes here, all of that Mars ambition may have had your nervous system fired up for this past several weeks. It might have had your digestive system inflamed, like a little pooch below your belly button, but it's just above where your underwear line would sit. That would be lower intestine inflammation. If everything else above and below that is normal, but you just have this pooch, that is very Mars in Virgo. When Mars speeds things up in this Virgo sign, it's snapping the whip for you to take a problem and then unemotionally categorize that problem, to find a solution, to apply the solution, and then be done. It doesn't mess around. It doesn't want to mess around. Virgo is healing energy. So it's not woe is me when there's something wrong. If something isn't kind of working in your favor under the Mars in Virgo transit, it's more like this cut and dry situation of identifying that something that doesn't work, knowing that this hurts, this thing is swollen, this feels off. And so that's when you decide to just get on and fix the issue. So if you felt a little bit more nose to the grindstone, if you've desired to put in more effort, Whether you know or not what it is that you want to put the effort into, that's not the point. That's where the mind comes into play. And that's also why Mars in Virgo can F up your nervous system, because you're all go, go, go. You want to get things straight. But if you don't know what to start with or how to proceed, you're just a nervous ball of unapplied effort with this internal energy pinging around inside of your own body, making you tired by day and then wired by night. And unless you apply that energy somewhere, it kind of hurts. It's like the painful side of life that Mars has to offer. A little suffering at the feet of Virgo energy happens only because you didn't plan and you didn't organize and you didn't order and arrange and group things together. And if you don't categorize well, if you didn't categorize anything that needed fixing under this Mars Virgo energy, then maybe you felt the sharpness of Mars. Maybe that little abdomen swelling, maybe a charged nervous system, anxiety issues, aches, cramps, digestive and stomach problems. And then if you did organize and categorize, and if you didn't become a hypochondriac, which Virgo 6th house energy is prone to sometimes as well, if you did get things figured out, then you took the problem, you didn't let it consume you, you owned it, you researched it, you collected data on it, and then you filtered through which data is best for you to fix and heal and mend. And now, on Wednesday, 6th of August, Mars takes its action and inflammation and its effort and its energy and impulses into the sign of Libra for 6 weeks and 5 days. Mark your calendar because this lasts until September 22nd. So Libra has different symbolic representation to Virgo. Libra imagery is actors and actresses. And as Marilyn Manson said, it's the beautiful people. So it's your partner. Libra tends to symbolize attraction. So your partner is within this realm. It's your aesthetic taste and it's your style. Libra is also agreements and contracts. Not in the way that Gemini is. Gemini is the drawing up of the contract. Libra is the signing part where you make the agreement and you commit. And it's done and dusted only once it's signed. Libra is lawsuits and litigation, negotiation, treaties, arbitration in the name of making sure that everything is fair. You know, balanced like those Libra scales like to be. And then in the body, Libra is your adrenal glands, it's your endocrine system, it's your kidneys, your lumbar spine, it's your skin, and it's pretty much anything to do with diabetes. And of course, Libra is related to beauty, health matters too, like cosmetics and fashion and jewelry. So off the top of my head with some of those things in combination with Mars meanings, it could be impulse relationships, impulse signing on the dotted line. It's possible inflamed adrenaline responses. So you'll need a very good cortisol and stress buffer now more than ever. And I did read somewhere that magnesium is a great cortisol management, and not just any magnesium, but specifically magnesium glycinate or glycinate, however it's pronounced. Of course, this is not medical advice, so make sure you check this out with your medical practitioner first and maybe even look it up yourself. But have a way of bringing down any adrenaline response, which includes love and lovemaking and hugs and kisses. Those are all ways of doing that. Mars in Libra is not for gentle stretching. It's not about protecting your spine and acting like your spine is made of glass. It's about moving your spine and twisting and torquing that thing so it moves in action and becomes more mobile that way. Mars in Libra is in detriment. So each planet has a sign or two where it's happy, and then a sign or two where it's unhappy. And because Mars rules Aries, and then Aries is opposite, it's opposing Libra, it means that whenever Mars moves into Libra, it's so far, far away from its home sign and it's not happy. It's the idea of being persuasive and argumentative at the same damn time. It's being meek and angry all at once. And the only way solutions come of the best of this sign is through collaborative and balanced effort. And balance is always going to be needed wherever Libra is highlighted by a planetary transit or wherever it is in your chart. And this one is not by any means going to be easy. That's why we're looking at this now, prepping you for the ins and outs of the experience. And the majority of the intensity of Mars in Libra detriment and struggle is going to be felt this week. Yes, it does last until late September, as mentioned, but because of Mars moving in opposition to the planets which are retrograde in Aries, being Saturn and Neptune, you'll be feeling the most tension literally this week immediately. Friday, August the 8th, the Lion's Gate that everyone is talking about. This episode is not about that. That's for the next episode on Thursday. I am hyper-focusing on the aspects that Mars makes on Friday and Saturday because they are unique. You haven't had them for a while, and in some respects, they're a little bit rough. So the first aspect is actually not rough, it is pleasant, and that is Mars in Libra trine Uranus in Gemini. And to know what this means, we just blend the meanings of the planets in the signs that they're in with the angle that they form. So a Mars-Uranus trine is boldness and liberation from limits. It's some unpredictable impact, and with the specific degrees, Mars is in the degree of impact and Uranus in the degree of narrow vision. This transit points to a breakthrough moment where narrow focus meets visibility. So Mars brings the test of recognition, where some kind of influence arrives very quickly, and how you handle it determines whether it continues or it fades out of the picture. So Uranus is in this tunnel vision degree, adding a disruptive flavor, awareness that is kind of intentionally restricted. And it may be that you need to remain tunnel visioned. It's like hyperfixation, hyperfocus. And Mars, Uranus together in a trine, this combination is supportive. So it's less about collapse. It's more about liberation coming from blinkering out any distractions. It's the chance to take something you've been narrowly focusing on and let it explode a little bit further outwards without losing that focus. So it's essentially innovation through discipline, using your specific honed awareness without becoming too dogmatic. The situational possibilities of this on Friday could be that a project that you've been working on gets recognition. Or maybe it's a situation where you break free of a stale role or a daily routine and you disrupt it. And you take a narrow idea and you apply it on repeat because you know it will work. It could be that in relationships, a long-standing stalemate suddenly shifts and one person says something maybe a little bit unpredictable, and if it's handled well, then it renews the connection. If it's handled poorly, it could turn into self-righteousness. In essence, you may have been buried in one specific project, idea, or passion, or even person lately. Something or someone you've been pouring yourself into, even if nobody else seemed to notice your fixation on that. And you're obsessing over one narrow piece of work or one way of doing things, and it's been safe, but it's also been limiting. It's time for some growth in that area, and suddenly the effort that you've been making, it gets noticed, and there is a chance for growth. So maybe your side project catches traction online, or someone invites you into a bigger room. Recognition comes very fast. And this is about whether you step out of the smaller room that you've been working in, or you're just too scared to expand altogether. And if you do suddenly find yourself recognized for something you've been doing quietly, and then the spotlight feels heavy, that's going to be the influence of the second Mars aspect happening on Friday, August 8th. It's this very kind of give with one hand and take with the other feeling. Like the universe offers you a cookie crumb, but it makes you jump really, really high to snatch that crumb. So maybe someone challenges you, they challenge your right to be in an evolved position. The recognition that you get is celebrated by some people and then sneered at by others. Or it's just the naturalness of feeling like you have to prove your worth. Because it's not just about getting noticed, like the Mars-Uranus aspect can bring. With the follow-up Mars opposing Saturn, where Saturn is in retrograde, it's about surviving the scrutiny that inevitably comes with recognition and being more seen. If you panic, you might shrink back because you think that you feel inadequate. But if you lean into arrogance, then you might alienate or dismiss people who helped you. So instead, when a situation goes against your development, like when the door opens, but standing in the doorway is someone or something that's a bit of a hurdle, treat the moment like it's a test of character, showing that your impact comes with humility and resilience, and just stay true to yourself. Mars opposes Saturn retrograde, and it pits the rush of impact Mars against the endurance test of survivalist Saturn. Mars wants to move fast into visibility, but Saturn demands patience. This opposition externalizes a conflict. So yes, an opportunity opens. This is great. But it will immediately meet resistance through authority figures, through something or someone pushing back, through systems that test you or circumstances that force you to slow down. So the things that might show up with this, it might be that recognition you finally get sees someone in authority push against it. So challenging of your credibility. And you're forced to defend yourself and your contribution without losing your cool. Or maybe you're given leadership on a project, but you're also immediately handed impossible restrictions. So you're told that you can achieve this high task, but then you're told that there's not enough of a budget. Maybe you're given something to do and then there's missing resources, or there's outdated systems that you've got to contend with. Or it could be that a partner, a friend, or family member finally acknowledges you and your influence, but just as quickly, they test your resolve by bringing up past mistakes. So you wind up feeling like you're seen, but now you also feel like you're being viewed under this microscope. Another possibility is that you speak up about something that matters to you, and yes, people finally listen. But one person resists, forcing you to prove that your stance is grounded. They don't believe you, and you fight to prove yourself. Friday offers progress on a goal, but then you hit this wall. It could also be an injury, an unexpected expense, or something that just feels like rejection. And the balance is to consider what the challenging part is teaching you and do that on Friday. Face the difficult part on Friday. Do not let that analysis wait another day longer, because by Saturday, it gets more confusing. On Saturday, Mars opposes Neptune. Neptune is retrograde. And this is happening just because Saturn and Neptune are super close to each other in the zodiac constellations right now. So whatever any planet does to one, it does to the other in immediate succession. Neptune is often hazy, but in this situation, when it's retrograde, it's actually a little bit less hazy, and it's more like an uncomfortable reality. So you learn of who is truly in your corner and who is not. Who's really clapping for you and who's just pretending. Who's supportive of you and who's sabotaging. And once you steady yourself after identifying the hurdles that you need to overcome, thanks to Friday's aspects, then you're faced with Neptune's thinning fog. And what it reveals isn't always pretty. So yes, you're invited into a bigger room and someone else tries to put you back in your place, and you're ready to fight against that. But they might say one thing and do another. They may offer support that isn't real. Someone might project something onto you that doesn't match who you are. And Saturday could feel like being misrepresented or even deceived. And on the surface, it seems like the problem is them. But Neptune's opposition isn't really about them. It's about whether you can stay clear and true, even when someone else clouds the field. Yes, it might be them that highlights the problem, or it might be them that is the problem themselves, but you don't have to buy the ticket to the show. You don't have to attend to their performance. And if you rush ahead, you risk taking people at face value, clinging to appearances, or acting on these unclear motives. And then you just tangle yourself into illusion. But then if you shut down, if you go and withdraw in cynicism and you just go ahead and assume everyone is false, you lose your innocence and you cut yourself off from genuine connection. So both of these reactions weaken your influence. And the higher path is actually holding your ground with humility, patience, and trust. I guess the test is, can you keep yourself steady even when you're misunderstood? And even when the motives around you are murky? When you do, then those fake people fall away and only the true ones are left. So Saturday might be someone projecting an image of you that doesn't align with who you actually are. And you could be caught between enjoying the recognition or trying to reject the illusion. Saturday might be an existing relationship where a moment of confrontation happens, and what's revealed is that you've been carrying false assumptions about each other. As Neptune retrogrades in this opposition, it strips the illusions back and it forces clarity. And maybe you might be into a brand new connection that comes and feels magnetic, but it's also slippery because there are empty promises made and vague responses. Mars opposing Saturn and then Neptune one day after the other, where Saturn's demand is for you to prove your integrity in tangible, disciplined ways. And then over here, Neptune's demand is to then maintain faith and innocence even when clarity isn't available. If you go too far and lean only on Saturn, you become hard and bitter. If you lean only on Neptune, you become naive and avoidant. But if you integrate both, you embody this unending innocence that is really just dedication to doing what's right and trusting that that's all that's needed as you surrender to genuine repetition. So if you haven't seen the multiverse-based movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once, it's definitely worth watching, probably on Saturday, given the Neptunian nature of the day. You may or may not like the movie, but what the movie captures so very well is how every decision, even the small ones, compound into different directions your life can take. You feel the weight of choice. How you respond leads to an entirely different outcome than another. And that's so relevant right now, recognizing that it's not about doing everything all at once. It's about the smaller momentary choices you commit to, because those are what change the trajectory as a whole. Those are what creates your life in action, in true Mars action. These back-to-back oppositions this weekend are like standing in your own multiverse of choices that alter your trajectory. Every opposition is like standing in this hall of mirrors, and each mirror shows you a different version. It's a different version of who you could become based on how you respond. So there's the version that fights and burns bridges, and then there's a version that collapses under doubt, and then there's a version that loses themselves in someone else's illusion, and then there's a version that stays grounded and steady and clear and turns breakthrough into lasting change. And you don't live all of them. You choose, and that choice changes the storyline of your life. The last Mars in Libra aspect of the week on Sunday, the 10th, Mars in Libra trines Pluto in Aquarius, is the result of how, when you keep showing up, life places you into positions where you can ascend. So it's the kind of rise where people end up saying, yes, he or she deserved that. You deserved this joy and breakthrough and success. It's breaking through the resistance and into the moment of breakthrough that goes accelerated Mars-based fastness, catapulting you into influence. And so Sunday may feel creative and fun after the intensity of the days prior, and you thrive with less. Less is more. And you don't throw yourself into every single problem, you just apply your effort simply where it counts. Because too much spreading and too much giving can actually wind up taking from you if it's done in the wrong way, if it's done in the wrong spirit. If you take on too much yourself, or if you think it's just easier to do things yourself, then you're actually robbing people of the chance of dignity and growth. But also, you're not supposed to accept help in ways that put your helpers at risk. So the wisdom of here is, again, balance, that Libra energy, and it's balance in exchange. So it's knowing when to conserve, knowing when to release, when to give, and when to step back. On Sunday, there's less resistance, which allows you to get a lot more done in a shorter amount of time. So don't pressure yourself Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Leave it to Sunday and you'll get it done quicker, and shorter amount of time is wasted on that application. Something may take you 8 hours to achieve frustratingly on Friday, that actually if you waited until Sunday, it takes you 2 hours with simplicity. Because Sunday, you have more insight into the motivation of others. You have more answers. You feel more confident and sharp in your perceptions, more vigorous than usual. It's a great time for exercise and strength training because the Mars-Pluto aspect symbolizes transformation. You literally have more power to transform your body and life. And you kind of feel more clear on knowing how that might be done, to know the ways that you could show up. And the pivotal horoscopes for this weekend that really, it just starts on Friday. Those horoscopes will be released tomorrow, Wednesday, the 6th of August, as Mars goes into Libra. But for now, I want you to listen to this episode as many times as you need and think about how recognition could be thwarted by somebody trying to burst your bubble. How would you make sure you maintain low cortisol and don't get stressed out in the face of opposition? What methods work for you in creating inner harmony during outer shifts and change and conflict that comes from others? I'll be back tomorrow, and until then, bye.